It's episode 638 of the Locked On Rangers podcast. On today's show, I'm breaking down why the Rangers actually had a very good draft, what's the ceiling of Kumar Rocker, and why the Brock Porter pick makes so much of a difference in how well the Rangers did in this draft. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, founder and host for all 4 seasons of this podcast. It is Wednesday, July 20th. It is still one more day until the Rangers start playing baseball again. So, again, we're going to keep talking about this draft because it is a unique and very, very interesting one. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers and subscribe on YouTube. The best way you can help grow the show is to comment anything below. Comment you think I was so dumb for being upset in the first place. Comment you think, wow, now I'm upset. Whatever you want to comment below. All of it helps grow the show. Now, let's get into Kumar Rocker, the Rangers' number 3 overall pick this year. Hopefully the last top 5 pick the Rangers have for at least the next 5, I don't know. Let's just say 5 years. Let's say 5 years, because the Rangers are trying to contend as soon as next year. Well, really, they say they're trying to contend the back half of this year. I say just go for not being terrible. That has been the goal all year. So just do that. Just do that, and then we'll get to the evaluating of how good you actually are next year with another free agency pool to maybe not drop $500 million, but still probably get a few extra talents on this roster this winter. But pitching-wise is where they need a lot of help this year, and probably for the future, but the depth of this Rangers farm system is in pitching, and they added 2 first-round talents in Kumar Rocker and Brock Porter. Now, Kumar Rocker, what is his ceiling? What is a comp? Well, I don't really love comps because they kind of set unfair expectations, but if you want them, I understand why they are helpful. They kind of help get a baseline of like, all right, what is it? Everything goes right. What is this guy going to look like? And, the comp I've heard most for Kumar Rocker is Alec Manila, who is a big right-hander for the Toronto Blue Jays. He was an all-star this year. He's only 24 years old. He's 6'6", 285 pounds, about an inch taller, about 50 pounds heavier than Kumar Rocker, but the profile is big fastball and just absolutely disgusting slider. And, that part is right on the money. Both of them throw a lot of strikes. They don't walk a whole lot of guys. Right now, if you go and look at the Baseball Savant page of Alec Manila, it's really pretty. Nobody's hitting him very hard. The average exit velocity, hard hit percentage in the top 3% of baseball. So that's really, really nice. All the expected numbers, the WOBA, the slugging, batting average, ERA, all those in the top 30%, every one of them except for batting average is in the top at least 20% of Major League Baseball. His strikeout rate isn't as good as it was last year. He's not striking out a batter per inning, but he's still got that nasty stuff. He's getting guys to chase. Fastball spin rate is really good. It's averaging 94 miles an hour. I think that's about where Kumar would be with his fastball. It was averaging a little bit more in the independent league ball this year, but both of them, can touch triple digits when they need it. Both of them average just a very, very nasty stuff. But they've also got a changeup that is fine. Kumar Rocker's is supposed to profile as eventually being fine, but Kumar Rocker also has a curveball, which Alec Manila does not have, so he is profiling to be a 4-pitch pitcher. If you count a sinker as a different fastball, then Manoah is a 4-pitch pitcher. But Rocker mostly goes with the 4-seamer at this point. I don't think he has a sinker. He might add it in the future. It seems to be a pretty easy one to add. There's no special way you got to do things that makes it very, very difficult to throw a sinker. Obviously, a lot of guys do it, and it gives something that's still fast but looks a little bit different than your 4-seamer to throw guys off. Obviously, it kind of helps a little bit. But yeah, that is the kind of ceiling of Kumar Rocker. He is a guy who throws a lot of strikes. He does have number 1 potential. He has ace potential. If everything goes right for him, and not even like just 100 percentile, but even like the 90th percentile, this guy could be a pretty strong number 1 potential, multi-time all-star potential. I want to say if ever at the 100%, obviously with a lot of these guys, if you hit 100%, if you hit your 100 percentile, then you're probably going to be competing for Cy Young. But like Kumar Rocker has really got that super high ceiling. He is a big guy. He is 6'5", listed at 245 pounds right now. That is the archetypal body of a number one starter, a guy who can get you a lot of innings, who can go deep into games and can sustain that and not have as much fatigue. We saw it with Lance Lynn, how valuable that was, having a guy who pretty much guaranteed every single time out is going to go at least 6 innings. And, you know, I don't know that he's going to have the success rate of Lance Lynn. He's obviously got some better breaking stuff than Lance Lynn did, who threw like what I want to say like 85% fastball, and then had a knuckle curve that he threw in there every once in a while. But yeah, having that guy to be that consistent and go that deep into games is huge. It takes a huge load off of your bullpen. It is just incredibly valuable, and that's the kind of guy who the Rangers think Kumar Rocker can be. And some of the upsides with him is that, I mean, Kip Fagg, the Rangers senior director of amateur scouting, has been on this guy, has known him, has been, you know, scouting him since he was in high school, really likes the kid, liked him at Vanderbilt. And the encouraging thing about it is that with all the concerns and question marks about his arm and his shoulder health, he did say that when he saw him in independent league ball, he looked better than he did at Vanderbilt. And that was the guy who was in contention for the number 1 overall pick last year, in contention with Leiter, ended up going number 10 to the Mets. But still, if he's better than he was at Vanderbilt, the fastball seems like it's faster. It's touching 100 miles an hour. Actually, no, I think it topped out at 99. But the Rangers' 4th-round pick, Brock Porter, touched 100 miles an hour. But this is the kind of guy that you want to build your rotation around. If he hits like the 50th percentile of his ceiling, I think 50th percentile is like back end starter, but much lower than that, he might end up putting him in the bullpen, because if they put him in the bullpen, he might end up being Aroldis Chapman, but right-handed, which, you know, other concerns about Aroldis Chapman aside, he has been a very good closer for a long time. I don't know that he's necessarily going to hit 105 if you put him in the pen, but, you know, he could, and that wipeout slider would be just literally unfair to anybody if it came out of the pen. But you've got to keep him in the starting rotation as long as possible. He is probably the most polished guy in this draft. He is probably the closest to Major League ready, but I don't see any scenario where he makes the Major Leagues this year. I just don't see it. He has been facing high A competition this year. That is not a guy who is going to race through the system. He is not as polished as Jack Leiter was. That's why the thought was maybe Jack Leiter, if everything goes perfectly this year, then he could see the big leagues. But Rocker isn't quite as polished. He needs a little bit more refining. You need to really see how that arm is going to hold up, because he's only thrown 20 innings this year. Just 20 innings. He did throw quite a few at Vanderbilt in his time there. 122 innings his junior year in 2021. Did throw 99 2/3 in 2019 as a freshman, and only 15 in the COVID-shortened season of 2020. So you really have a lot of question marks about this guy, but I totally get the upside. I totally get the upside swing. If everything goes right, this guy is probably... Actually, if everything goes right, this guy is definitely the best pick in the draft and makes the Rangers look like geniuses for getting him nearly $2.5 million under that slot value. Coming up, we're going to look at Brock Porter, why he fell, what his potential is, if there are any concerns there, and, you know, why he makes all the difference and how good this Rangers draft looks. First, this episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Whether you're ready to pop the question or if you're celebrating a milestone moment, you can find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. Looking for fine jewelry, but if you're having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone, or you can chat with them to help find a memorable gift at every single budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Now, the Rangers drafted Brock Porter, a high school kid, a right-handed pitcher in the 4th round, their second pick because they lost their second-round pick to get Corey Seager. They lost their 3rd-round pick to sign Marcus Semien. Job well done. That's fine. You do that every freaking day of the week. Now, according to MLB Pipeline, this is the highest rated guy, the highest rated prep arm in this entire draft. I know Lindsey Crosby was from Locked On MLB Prospects. His entire promo that I've been playing on my show for the last, maybe month and a half, it talked about how this might be the draft where there are no pitchers taken in the top 10 for the first time in like a decade or something crazy like that. And then, of course, there were 2 pitchers, maybe even 3 in the top 10. But this is a guy who could have gone in that top 10. Brock Porter is the number 11 ranked prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, in this entire draft. That's right. The Rangers got the 11th best prospect in the entire draft in the 4th round. Now, you might be saying, Bryce, how could they get this guy in the 4th round? There's got to be something going on. Why did he slip all the way past the 1st round, past the 2nd round, past the 3rd round, all the way to the 4th? There's got to be something up there, right? Well, kind of, and kind of no. It wasn't an injury concern. It was more of a pre-draft deal. This happens all the time in the Major League Draft. It happens usually with just like 1 or 2 guys that are among these top 30 guys that get a promise from some team that they're going to pay him some ridiculous bonus, and they tell other teams, well, if you draft me, I'm just going to go to Clemson. Well, they don't always say Clemson, but whatever their preferred college destination is, that's what they say. That is why Brock Porter fell all the way to the 4th round. The Rangers had a deal with him. I'm not sure if he's CAA or if he's a Scott Boras client, but whoever his agent was at that time, or is acting as his agent. I don't really know what the deal is if you can have an agent while in college. But anyway, the deal was struck before the draft. That is why they went with Kumar Rocker. It was not a desperation pick to try and get him up in the bullpen and make a difference this year. It was because they knew they had this deal with Brock Porter, and he is a first-round talent, a very good, if not the best prep arm in this entire draft. But prep arms are risky. But the Rangers knew if they could get both these guys, 2 risky guys, basically think of it as this. The Rangers got 2 first-round talents without a 2nd or a 3rd-round pick. That is an impressive thing to do. It's a difficult thing to do, and the Rangers were able to pull it off. Now, I know they listed Kumar Rocker as the 38th best prospect on here. I don't think that's accurate at all. I think he's definitely in the top 20 best prospects in this draft. They only dropped him because I think that's what they thought, where they thought he was going to go, because there is the uncertainty. But in terms of overall ceiling and MLB readiness, like, he should be way up higher than that. I mean, he went into the 2021 season as the number 1 overall prospect in the draft, and some of the other guys just jumped up a little bit higher than him, and there were a little bit of concerns, especially after that Mets fiasco and the surgery last year. But the Rangers saw all of his medicals. They felt comfortable with it. But anyway, we're getting into Brock Porter. He is a right-handed pitcher out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School in Michigan, the best Michigan high school prospect since 1988. Steve Avery went number 3 overall to the Braves in the 1988 draft out of Michigan. This guy has the best fastball of any prep player, according to Taylor Blake Ward. He is it's listed as a 70 future grade, which is really dang good. He also has probably the best changeup in this entire draft. But this is what Taylor Blake Ward, who is a former Locked On Angels host who's been covering the draft for many, many years, had to say about this guy. He said he's good, upper 90s with a solid changeup, starter kit, special potential. Many would say he was the best healthy arm in this class. I'd say he is up there, probably top 5 arm. Now, that's very, very exciting. I feel like all the time Taylor ends up ruining my buzz in the draft, but he has got a good eye on these prospects. He has a wider range of knowledge to fall back on and understands what makes a good prep talent. But this guy has got special potential. Taylor doesn't go throwing that around, but special potential. This guy could be a potential top of the rotation pitcher if everything works out. He has got a slider that could end up being a plus pitch, a changeup that, according to Lindsey Crosby, could be a double plus pitch, a double plus fastball, and double plus changeup. The speed differential there is pretty good. He sits in the upper 90s with his fastball 94 to 97 and has touched 100 miles an hour. Very, very exciting stuff. And the changeup is in the low 80s. That is a huge, huge speed differential that makes it that much more effective. He also has a curveball and, pretty good control command stuff at this point. He is listed at 6'4", 208 pounds. And, they say he doesn't have a whole lot of red flags. I mean, they'd like to have him just refine his feel for spin rate. He doesn't need all that much besides just, experience and actually pitching in a minor league fashion, in a professional setting, and staying healthy, which at this point he has been healthy, so that is encouraging. He is also 6'4", can grow into a big frame, has that, ideal, stereotypical starting pitcher body, workhorse, 6'4". You just need a tall guy. That's how, apparently, if you're tall, then you can stay healthy forever. And, it's just very, very good for you. I mean, look at Randy Johnson. He was like 7'11" or whatever. And he pitched a lot of innings for a long time. So this is the kind of ideal frame. He's got a really, really great starter kit. He doesn't have a whole lot of red flags other than he wanted to go to Clemson. For me, that's the only red flag for me, and that's a very, very small one at that. But this guy has got some really, really great potential. As in terms of when to expect him at the big league level, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I'd say, 4 years. I mean, maybe 2025, maybe 2026. I mean, he is a long, long ways away, but not everybody's going to be Cole Winn and in 2-3 professional seasons make it all the way up to AAA. Granted, there was a pandemic shortened season in there, but still, he's no Cole Winn. He's not going to jump through the system that fast, I don't think, but he's got some great, great potential, and the Rangers got an absolute steal by getting him in the 4th round. Very much deserving of a first-round pick if somebody decided to spend the cashola on him, but he already had a deal with the Rangers, and he knew he wanted to go there. And I got to give the Rangers props. This is the one thing they've been able to do very, very well. They have been able to draft and develop pitchers very well the last few years. There have been some very, very good results. Some of the guys have had some setbacks in the upper levels this year, but that doesn't negate all the success that they have had with some of these guys the last few years. So getting these 2 first-round talents and making them both pitchers, something that the Rangers have been able to develop fairly well as of late, much better than they were in the past. That is a huge, huge bonus for these guys. Coming up, we're going to look at some of the rest of these picks, what the Rangers rotation could look like in just 2024 with the addition of these guys, and a little bit of a look at the All-Star game. But first, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have got you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Now, let's look at what this Rangers rotation could look like in 2024 with the additions of these guys. I don't think that Brock Porter is going to be in the big leagues by 2024. That feels super, super, super aggressive. With Brock Porter, I think they start him probably in the Arizona Complex League. Maybe by the end of the year, they move him up to low A after about a month there. But again, he is a prep arm. He is a little bit older than the average prep arm. He is just turned 19 on June 3rd. So, oh my gosh, he turned 19 and he was born in 2003. Gosh, that makes me feel old. But anyway, I think they might, if they do get really aggressive with him and they want to start him in low A, I get it. But I do think a couple of starts in the Complex League isn't going to hurt anybody. Get a good feel for what this kid is. He hasn't officially signed, but the Rangers have said that they feel pretty confident that they're going to be able to sign all of their picks. Now, let's look at some of the other picks in this draft. I'm just going to go through them really quick. We had Kumar Rocker, Brock Porter, Chandler Pollard, Tommy Speck, Luis Ramirez, Matt Broski, great name, Griffin Chaney, Josh Hatcher, Cole Drake, Jackson Kelly, Caden Markham, Andrew Owen, Jack Goodham, Nick Bautista III. There's a Bautista, slight red flag. Carson Dorsey, Justin Sanchez, Grayson Saunier, and Matt Scott. Now, what sticks out to me about this is that 13 of the 18 picks are pitchers. The Rangers are like, we're going pitching. We know how to develop these guys, and we're going to feel really good about that. The only guys who were not pitchers were, let's see, starting with their 5th round pick, they had Chandler Pollard, a Georgia high schooler, outfielder, right-handed, throws right-handed, bats right-handed, listed at 6'4", 175 pounds. They also have Tommy Specht out of Wallert High School in Iowa, the same high school that Ian Mahler was drafted out of last year. He is a left-handed batting, right-handed throwing outfielder, again from high school, listed at 6'3", 200 pounds. Then you go down to their 9th round pick. You have Griffin Chaney out of Georgia State University in Atlanta. He is a shortstop who bats and throws right-handed. He is listed at 5'11", 185 pounds. Let's see. Yeah, he was a 4th-year senior, so kind of a signability pick there, which you kind of have to if you have these guys like Brock Porter and Tommy Specht and Chandler Pollard, who I've heard are all fairly interesting. This is what Taylor Ward had to say about Chandler Pollard. He said he is a legit prospect. He said Tommy Specht is interesting, and Luis Ramirez is, quote, my dude. My dude. That's encouraging. Luis Ramirez is a right-handed pitcher out of Long Beach State. So obviously Taylor in California got a pretty good look at this guy and really liked what he saw. He was born in 2001, which makes him 21 years old. Goodness gracious. Listed at 6'2", 200 pounds, a 4th-year junior. Kind of a signability pick, but still has some advanced stuff and a pretty good feel. Knows what he is as a pitcher. Pollard is a kind of toolsy outfield. I think Pollard and Specht have a similar profile and that they're both big power, big speed. See if we can teach them how to hit guys, which, you know, in years past, that would have been a 1st-round pick, but the Rangers have kind of shifted that up and going safer. Well, until this year, they've gone with safer, more polished college guys in the 1st round and taken those big swings on toolsy guys that don't quite know how to hit in the later rounds, which I think might end up being a smarter overall thought there. But let's look at this Rangers rotation in 2024, what it would look like right now without the acquisition of any free agents if some of these guys pan out and come up at the time that I think they're going to be about ready. In 2024, I think Jack Leiter could honestly be the number 1 in this rotation. He could be number 2 behind John Gray, but then you're filling it out with guys like Owen White, Kumar Rocker, and Cole Winn. That's pretty impressive. That is some pretty impressive stuff, and that is just these guys. Just these top, well, yeah, all these guys are top 10 prospects in the Rangers system. That is a rotation entirely homegrown outside of John Gray, and that's even if they don't bring back Martin Perez. That is a really, really special rotation. Now, Rocker, I think 2024 is about when he comes up for the first time. He might be behind Cole Winn. I think Cole Winn makes his debut next year. I don't know if it's at the start of the year. He needs to figure out this walk problem before the Rangers call him up to the big leagues. If he's walking a bunch of guys in AAA, he's going to walk a whole bunch more at the big league level. But this is a really darn good rotation. I mean, the Rangers have 4 guys now in their system who I would say are all in the top 10 in Jack Leiter, Owen White, Kumar Rocker, and now Brock Porter, that if everything goes right, they're an ace. The Rangers did not have that last year. They did not have that. They didn't have, well, I'd say any 2 years ago. Owen White hadn't done really anything at that point in 2020. And as much as I loved Cole Winn, he hadn't really done much at that point either. But the Rangers have gone from nobody in the rotation that could be an ace if they hit their 90th or 100th percentile to 4 guys. And that is really, really impressive. Now, maybe Owen White is squinting to say if everything goes right, he's a number 1, but I say he's at least a number 2. But if you set that as the benchmark as opposed to ace, the Rangers really didn't have that many guys. I mean, it was just Cole Winn. If everything went perfectly, then he's a number 2. I still think that he's more likely a number 3 or a number 4 in your rotation, but still a very, very valuable major league contributor, hopefully for many, many years to come. But this is, I'd say, the best pitching system in all of Major League Baseball. I thought it might be that before this draft, but especially with these 2 additions, but we'll see how the rest of these arms work out. The other 15 arms that the Rangers drafted, or maybe less than that, maybe other 14, whatever. I'm not doing math. But anyway, I already thought, and I'd heard from a scout, that the Rangers had probably the most overall future value in terms of pitching, in terms of how many guys would contribute at the big league level and how much they would contribute at the big league level. The Rangers pitching prospects have gone up and up and up. They went from not being able to develop any starting pitching to developing what hopefully will be a trend of a lot of starting pitching and just a lot of really great pitching in general. The Rangers could use it. They could use 2 more starters at the big league level. They could use some help with some swing and miss guys in the pen. So even if some of these guys don't work out as starters, like some of the guys lower in my top 30 in Zach Kent or AJ Alexi, the Rangers do need help in their bullpen with some swing and miss, nasty primo stuff kind of guys. So even if these guys don't turn into that starting pitcher that the Rangers hope they can be, they can still help out a whole lot at the big league level and contribute value to the Texas Rangers Major League Club. And that is very, very encouraging stuff. So I have changed my tune. I have officially changed my tune, kicking and screaming. I still really like Temarr Johnson. I still really like Elijah Green, but I totally get why the Rangers did it. They have a plan. They are smarter than me. I knew that going in, but I still do not regret my reaction initially to the Kumar Rocker pick, because until Brock Porter signs, the deal is still kind of holding on. If they don't get Brock Porter, then that's going to be a huge, huge mess. But I have every confidence that the Rangers are going to have that deal worked out. I mean, they wouldn't pull this kind of a deal unless they were confident that they could get it worked out, and that's why they got Kumar Rocker and some of these other signability guys. Just give that man as much money as he needs to sign. We'll deal with the consequences later, but Brock Porter should be a very, 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 very fun guy to watch come up through the system. I'm encouraged to see where they start him, what he looks like, all kinds of stuff, and especially Kumar Rocker too. I have no idea what they're going to do with him. I'd say maybe a couple of starts in the complex league, then move him to high A. And if he dominates in high A, then pump him up to double A by the end of the year. But again, there's not all that much time left in the season, so maybe it's just next year he starts the season at double A and works his way up to triple A with Jack Leiter. I'm very anxious to see both those guys on the same rotation at the same level, because that reunion is going to be very, very fun. Now, there's one last thing I want to touch on in the All-Star game. Actually, no, there is one thing on the 17th round pick. Kaysen Dorsey, he pitched for the Savannah Bananas this summer. And according to Ethan Smith, host of Locked on Pirates, who lives in Georgia near Savannah, he looked really good. Now, if you don't know about the Savannah Bananas, they are a ridiculous and extremely fun, extremely entertaining baseball organization. They are not affiliated with minor league baseball. I don't know what league they're in. They are in the fun league. Think of them kind of as the Harlem Globetrotters, but for baseball. They are ridiculous. They are fun. They are very, very good at using TikTok, and they are very, very good at filling out their stadium. I would very much like to go see a Savannah Bananas game one of these days, but if you live in Georgia, go out and check them out because they are a lot of fun. I don't know why he pitched with the Savannah Bananas, an actual draft prospect, but you know what? He moved up, way up the board on my favorite picks in this draft. But one last thing, Jose Trevino was in the All-Star game last night. He was, and he could not believe that he was an All-Star. He even said it. He was mic'd up during the game, and they got some pretty great gold from him, talking with Nestor Cortez on the mound, talking with the booth. And someone on Twitter said they should mute John Smoltz's mic for the rest of the night and just keep Jose Trevino's on, and I would absolutely be in favor of that. Just a really, really special moment. They gave him a shout-out and congratulations to happy birthday to his son, who just had his, I want to say, 4th birthday, in case you don't remember that special moment of Jose Trevino on Father's Day, one of my favorite Rangers regular season memories of all time, where he got the walk-off hit the first Father's Day after his father passed away, and it was also his same first Father's Day as a father. Just a really, really special moment for him. And I'm bummed that he couldn't put up that kind of production with the Rangers, but I am just so happy for that guy. He deserves to be an All-Star. I think Jonah Heim also deserved to be an All-Star, but seeing Jose out there having so much fun, having the world be introduced to Jose Trevino, let him know, hey, this is our Texas kid. This is our boy who is killing it up there with the Yankees. And while I would rather him be killing it for a different organization that is not the Yankees, he's got his boys up there. He's got Joey. He's got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He has got former Ranger great Matt Carpenter alongside him. And that was just a really, really special moment. If you didn't see it, go check my Twitter account. I quote tweeted Major League Baseball, tweeting out the video of Jose and some of the highlights there. Just a really, really special moment for him. Very happy for him. Corey Seager didn't do much. He grounded out to second base in his one at bat that he got in the 9th inning. Didn't come in. I think he was a defensive replacement in the 8th inning or something, but did not play very much at all. Martin Perez, of course, had a perfect 1-2-3 inning all week. Ground balls, one of them from Juan Soto, one of them from Ronald Acuna Jr., and one from, I believe, Jeff McNeil. So 2 of the best hitters in the National League, and also Jeff McNeil was there. Very low drama. If you blinked, you missed it. That is exactly what I expected from Martin Perez in his first Major League Baseball All-Star appearance. Congratulations to both of those All-Stars. Congratulations to Jose Trevino. The Rangers play baseball again tomorrow. I'll be back with another episode as just kind of a recap of what I'm expecting, what I thought from the first half. And on Friday, I will be doing I think 3 bold questions the Rangers, maybe 5, I don't know, some amount of bold questions the Rangers need to answer in the second half, because there are a lot of questions this team needs to answer, a lot of questions just about this team in general for the second half, and it's going to be a very, very fun one, especially if Corey Seager keeps hitting the absolute crap out of the baseball. Thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.